Welcome to this week's Renaissance Man column podcast. Like I told you guys at the beginning, this is a labor of love. And if I don't like you, you won't be on the show. If you're not interested, I'm never going to say your name. This person is both. And I love her so much, and she's a longtime friend of mine. Please welcome one of the most talented and hardworking people in entertainment and sports. Charissa Thompson, welcome to the show.
I was about to look around to see who you were talking about. Jay, thank you. You know how much I love you. We go back a long way, so much so that, again, and I say this lovingly to your wife, I wanted to name my child after you because I was such a huge fan of yours growing up. I wanted my first child to be named Jalen. And then, of course, we ended up working together and now you're family. I appreciate you. Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. And I love to see my friends, mature. Look at your hair. Look at your shirt. You got a piano in the back. There's a piano. You're rich. You're rich. I remember when you were slumming in this industry. Like, what is happening right now? You're rich. You know what I'm saying? And it makes me so happy.
Well, don't get it twisted. This is still a weave. That was from Craigslist, and I decorated this myself. So I don't want to have you, not keep it real here.
Got it.
You. So, yeah, I did grow up a little bit.
So the world knows you as a big-time sports analyst and personality, but you're a Seattle native, as I know. Mm-hmm. How did your hometown shape you into the Charissa Thompson you are today?
I love that question. This is why you're the professional. Jalen, growing up, I grew up in the same small town that my parents did. My parents met when they were in junior high. They got married when they were 18. Whoops, my mom was pregnant. My dad said, we're doing this. Cut to 42 years later, they're still married. I had the same math teachers that they had. So I come from a small town, and I come from a family that, you start this thing together, you're going to finish it together, and you're going to remain humble about doing it. I had my first job when I was 16. My parents said, we don't have any money, so you better figure out how to work because we're just kids raising kids, kind of a thing. So when I wanted to go to college, I was like, I want to go to California. I want out of the rain. I hate this town, the whole thing. My highlight was the Sonics. They got rid of the Sonics. I said, peace, I'm out of this place. But my parents were like, we don't have any money, so you got to go to community college for the first couple years, and you got to pay your own way. So to get back to the question, I think, Jalen, it always comes back to me that whatever I'm doing in life, I know that I have to go back to Seattle where my family is, where my brother and sister live 10 minutes away from my parents. And will I be proud to go back home and have them be proud of me? And I think that there's always sort of this responsibility I have, as I know that you felt like that in your life, where you just want to make your family proud. So Seattle is a very humble place that reminds me to stay real.
You've always done a terrific job of making your hometown proud and representing it to the fullest, and always keeping your brand classy. So when I was thinking of the name of this episode, I decided on when you own your voice, you own your power. You've been a power player in sports media for a while. How has the industry changed for women since you started in the industry?
I love that. Jalen, you are good. I need to take notes on how to ask questions. My goodness. I need to go back to school. You told me something when I got to ESPN, and again, like many people, ESPN for me, I grew up wanting to be a sports broadcaster. My brother, because he's white, I made him be Jay Buhner. I said, you can't be Griffey. You have to be. And I had a paper towel roll with a tennis ball, and he was 2 years older than me. So he was like, cool guy. Didn't want to be bothered with the little sister. But I was like, Jason, please let me pretend like I'm interviewing you so I can put this on tape. And then hopefully one day I can show everyone I wanted to be a sports broadcaster. So he let me interview him. But the point is that this is always something I wanted to do. And ESPN was always that place that I wanted to get to. And I remember I got there and I was so excited, but you said to me, I'll never forget this, when people still ask, like, so what's some of the best advice you ever got? You said, appreciate your position, but plan your promotion.
Mm.
And it's always stuck with me because, you know, in this world, this idea of like, oh, when we get there, we'll be happy. When we get there, we'll be happy. When we get there, we'll be happy. And everyone's like, just be happy where you are. I am. I'm happy where I am. But I'm always thinking about, okay, what's next? And that doesn't mean that I'm not satisfied. It just means that I'm trying to maximize the opportunities and the potential in this window. And again, being a female in the industry and all of the things that come with that, and the generic, like, oh, your shelf life is short. The question is, how has it changed? I don't think the shelf life is short anymore. I don't think it's you age yourself out, that you, once you get to a certain age, that, you know, you have to be more behind the scenes. Man, that is not the case. Look at the landscape of TV. And then I think that getting older actually helps cement for me, or it's allowed me to sort of have like a footing in the position that I'm in, because I do have the experience, and that experience matters. So when I first started, I thought, oh, I have to get everything in now because I don't have much time. I'm going to get lines on my face. They're going to, you know, find someone younger, find someone this, all the stuff. But now the experience, I think, is my biggest asset. So that is something where I still appreciate my position, but I plan my promotion and I do it with a little bit more experience behind me.
That's well said. And I appreciate you actually not only listening to that advice, but taking heed to it, because as you know, sports entertainment and multimedia, it's a dog eat dog world. Every time you're on TV, people are texting their agents saying, why isn't that me? You know, look at her outfit. Look at her hair. You know, she messed up that introduction. How have you been able to maintain your discipline and your professionalism in a high profile for so very long and be so good at your job?
Well, I appreciate, you know, the sentiment, and I appreciate your endorsement, as your opinion means a lot to me as someone I've looked up to for a long time. But being real, I haven't had a sterling reputation, that I had my privacy invaded, right? Which then became public, which then becomes comments. Still, I mean, this was whatever it was, three years ago or whatever, I had my privacy violated. And those comments, still to this day, I have to delete off my Instagram comments. I have to, you know, sort of answer to. But as most things in my life, again, I was a victim of something, but it now puts you in a position to be judged. I meet most things with humor. It's my way of self-deprecating. I say what I know everybody else is already thinking. So I take their power, at least what I believe is their power that they think they have. So saying like, oh, cool, you guys seen the videos, seen the pictures. Well, you know everything about me. I'm a great girlfriend. I just say it because now it's like, all right, what do you have? What else do you got? If that's all you had, well, then then we can keep it moving. So for me, it's about my professionalism. Showing up on Sunday or doing that interview, I can still feel like a professional no matter what happened to me personally, because the way that I'm authentically dealing with it, that's just how I feel that I can get through things is, hey, I'm human. I had something really bad happen to me, but my employer, again, this is where Fox is so incredible. When that all happened to me, I'll never forget this. My bosses put me on a plane to the NFC Championship game. It makes me want to cry. To Philadelphia to be with all the guys, because, hi, Craig, you're making me cry. You are a great interviewer. I'm already crying. Because they were like, hey, this bad thing happened to you, but like, we want you to be with your family. And your family was like, they were all on the road for the NFC Championship game. So anyways, so I flew there and I wasn't even working. I just was with them and they were like so wonderful to me. And so I'll never forget that even though most people make comments like, oh, how are you still employed after that or this or that? And I want to be like, because something bad happened to me that I have to be fired over it? No. Instead, my employer wrapped their arms around me and they were like, we got you. So I don't even know what your initial question was because now I'm crying, but I think it's just about remaining authentic, even if it's a crappy thing that happened.
And I know how much that hurt you, and it would hurt any of us, but you're one of the strongest people I know. And so for the public to break down the wall of Charissa, that was a mighty thing for me. I knew that this had gone too far. And so how did you summarize being a public figure, knowing that people could invade your privacy, yet still embrace like wanting to be a public figure? It's almost like if somebody breaks into your house, right? It's like you might feel a little funny still wanting to sleep there. Like how like when people come up to you, ask for pictures, ask for autographs, like how can you like still be nice to the world?
Well, I mean, don't get it wrong. I mean, again, like I'm not you. I'm not walking down the street and recognized like that. But you know, I think that the emotion that just came out was, I think, because I'm close to you, but it's just frustrating that you can be a victim of something and then have to defend your position. Whereas that's not, I think that part was hard for me. Because again, I meet things with humor. And like I said, you know, take away the power of somebody else by saying what you know that they're already thinking. But that still doesn't like negate the fact that like it hurts or it doesn't feel good to like be looked at differently. All that said is that I just want to continue to do television or to, you know, and whether it was my time in entertainment that I quickly realized I didn't know who half these celebrities were. And still my boss was awesome. And she gave me the opportunity. And I was like, who is this person? I felt like the person that was like, hey, I want to be a sports broadcaster. And then they get into sports like, I don't know who that person is. I'm like, why are you here? Get out of this job. You like you to be a sports broadcaster. You need to know your stuff. I didn't know my stuff in entertainment because it wasn't something I was passionate about. So that's why I quickly was like, okay, we're going to exit stage left here. And we're going to go back into sports full time. But it was, again, amazing opportunities, Jalen, that I've been afforded that I do not take for granted, because I think it's all, you know, in the chapter, we all have a book of our life. And my dad has this great expression: if you don't like the way it's going, start rewriting it, because you're the author of your own story. So for me, you know, when all that stuff was happening to me, he's like, hey, that's embarrassing. You know, your parents and like, you know that stuff or whatever, or be a part of a Google search. But he was like, hey, he goes, look, your book just got a little bit more interesting. Not my thing. It's weird. Like, that's what you kids do these days. That chapter is part of your story. So again, like, I think that it's a combination of continuing to appreciate opportunities that I'm given in spite of what's happened. And look, I'm not trying to play the victim here. A lot of people have bad things happen to them, but it's not what happens to you. It's how you react to what happens to you. So for me, it's, hey, let's keep going. This thing is a marathon and we're only on mile 15, hopefully.
You've been a game changer in a lot of ways, though, and I appreciate your humility. What changes would you like to see made to advance women in positions of power in sports media in the future?
Oh, I mean, you see more incredible individuals like Doris Burke. You know, being able to look at a woman, or Andrea Kramer or Hannah Storm do it on Amazon for Thursday Night Football and calling the game and having a dual female booth. More opportunities like that. You know, we see it in a lot of spaces. I have to say, I know that the growth of women in this industry seems like it moved at a glacial pace for a little while, but now if you look at this landscape, you can't turn on the television without seeing females in predominant positions in sports. And I feel very lucky that I get to host a pregame show for the NFL. And there's no one else that gets to do that for a pregame show. So I do feel very privileged to have that opportunity, as well as I'm sure a lot of the women that are in positions that used to only be occupied by men. So yeah, I mean, the race in that respect isn't over. but I do feel very grateful for the people that have paved the path before us. And again, I always think about it like this, that although I'd like to believe that this profession can last a long time for me, you know, as I was talking about earlier, but there will be a time where there's going to be somebody else that sits in that chair. And I hope that I will be gracious enough to pass that baton. It's the same thing, you know, whether when you were playing basketball, there's going to be somebody else wearing your uniform in that locker room. And then your next chapter very successfully transitions into broadcasting. I mean, I remember when you used to come on the Best Damn Sports Show, you know, and like, think about how, and you and Michael, and you were still playing. It's like, think about how you guys had the mindset to think like, hey, maximize these opportunities. And now, I mean, how many guys that you know are like, how do I, you know, they just think it's a foregone conclusion to go into broadcasting. You know, it's so interesting, right? Think about like how there weren't a lot of those positions before, don't you think?
Correct. Absolutely. And so much so, Charissa, that my agent actually wasn't representing me when I was doing the deals for Best Damn from like 2002 to 2007. I was doing them myself.
Yeah.
They didn't understand the upside that a player had in doing a post career. I was really following what I saw Ahmad do and Jason Williams of the Nets. He was the first dude that was playing, and I saw him doing NBC, and I was like, yo, I'm trying to do that. And then Sally got on Best Damn. I was like, that's the blueprint.
Boom. Yep.
Right there. I'm gonna follow Sal. And as we started to like get into this multimedia space, like a lot of people see our jobs as glamour, right? But the audience doesn't necessarily know the hard work and the dedication. Many people see our jobs and they see the glamour, but share with the audience the hard work and dedication you have to put in behind the scenes that actually goes into your job.
It's a great question. I think that for me, it was do any job that puts you in a position to get closer to the dream job. And in my particular case, right out of college, I knew I wanted to work at ESPN, but I wasn't, you know, on the East Coast. I was in LA. So I was like, okay, Fox Sports. So how can I get into that building? So I took the only job that was available in that building, which was human resources, which I have no business being in human resources ever. I was like drinking on my lunch break. I mean, my God. So I took that job. Then that job, I would sneak up to the highlights department at night because I had to sneak up there because it would be an HR violation if I still was working in the building past 9 hours. And I would go up there and I would log tapes. And then I became a production assistant and I moved to Denver, and there was a girl that was on air there and they didn't renew her contract. And I was like, please, just like, I'm going to do a few stand-ups. If I'm terrible, you don't have to like hire me, but like, let me just show you what I can do. And then they let me slowly but surely like do more and more and more. So the path for me was do anything, any job, don't be above it. Don't just think like, oh, I'm going to get some big market job. I got lucky that I got to go to Denver, but be willing to go to a small market. I know a lot of people are like, I don't want to go to that small town. Okay, cool. Well, then you don't want it bad enough, because like anything in life, if you aren't willing to put in the work, then you don't deserve, you know, the outcome. You don't deserve that pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. And that doesn't mean that it always even works out. You know, some people might do all the right things and it still doesn't get there. Very similar to athletes, you know, where these guys have tremendous potential and they, you know, are great players, but just never have success at that next level. So I think for me, it's always put in the work, and then you won't be surprised by the outcome one way or the other.
And shout out to our Best Damn family.
Right?
John Nance and Charlie and Stacey.
I mean, my God, I think about those, man, we had some good times there. Right. I was thinking about the time we went to the Super Bowl, and it was, I tried to go shot for shot with Eddie George and Antonio Pierce. Who do I think I am? I mean, I'm not a small girl, but like I could not go toe to toe with them. And I got so drunk that I got in so much trouble from George Greenberg that he made me sit next to Larry Jones, our lawyer. Shout out to Larry Jones at Fox.
Yes,
because you know what your punishment is? You're going to sit next to Larry Jones at the Super Bowl. I was like, I got in so much trouble, but we had a great time. That was such a fun. I mean, half the fun was those production meetings.
Absolutely.
John Sally and the stories. No one has, I mean, you might be up there too, but no one has.
John is a legend, right?
No one has better stories that can never be told on air than John Sally.
Correct.
Also,
he's been around everybody, the Bad Boys, MJ, the Lakers, and Shaq and Kobe. He's been everywhere.
He's everywhere on my TV. All of a sudden I'll look up, I'll be like, what? Look at this guy again. He like must have the most credits for like appearance, like special appearance in TV, movies. I love John.
Absolutely.
John's another guy that just, you know, the hustle.
No question. Shout to Spider Sally. And lastly, we had your partner in crime, EA, Erin Andrews, on the show.
What a gal.
And you two guys are releasing a podcast. Congratulations. It's called Calm Down. What can listeners expect to get from Calm Down that they can't get from you ladies from anywhere else in your 150 other jobs?
Yeah, well, I appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah, we looked around and we're like, hey, this podcast thing, maybe we should try it. Even if no one listens, it's a great forum for us to just talk. So our husbands are like, great, you've talked for an hour and a half. That's less talking we have to hear from you.
Correct.
Yes. So we're able to get out all of our stuff there. But also, you know, Jalen, going back to when I broke down in tears, that, you know, Erin and I, again, in the grand scheme of things, everyone's got some chapter of their story that's tough. Of course, it makes people who they are. But Erin and I have been through different but similar situations as it pertains to, you know, the victimization of privacy. And I think that Erin and I have gotten very comfortable with saying and doing things that we wouldn't have before. I've always been, you know me, I've always been like, here I am, like whatever. It's taken Erin self-admittingly, it's taken her a longer time to get to that place. But, you know, we actually have the same birthday, May 4th, and she's 4 years older than I am. And she's like, I'm older, but, you know, it took me longer to be comfortable with who I am. So I think Calm Down, it comes at a perfect time in our lives where we're both very comfortable with who we are, good, bad. I mean, we get it. Not everyone likes us. We're cool with that. But we are who we are. And if you like us, you like us. And if you don't, then we'll still be nice to you. So yeah, we're excited about the opportunity. And look, even in this platform, on this platform with you today, and getting me to cry. I mean, I don't cry about that stuff anymore, but it's an opportunity to just be real. And a lot of that has to do with who's asking the question. So I appreciate you. And yeah, Calm Down is also a nod to us because we need to bring it down like 10 notches in life. And just Kevin Hart was our first guest, and we asked him to give out a Calm Down award. And he said, you know, everyone just needs to just not take everything so seriously. You know, there's a time and a place to be serious, but also, man, this life is a good thing we got. So every now and then, just take a deep breath, look around, and laugh it off.
Erin also told a story of you having a chance to interview Michael Jordan and Larry Bird at the same time, and you decided that you didn't want to do it. Is that right?
Not that I didn't want to. I was peeing down my leg. I was so nervous about doing it. I said, I got to go change my clothes. I can't do it. No, I was working for the Big Ten Network. Jeffrey Jordan, Michael's youngest, was playing in Illinois. We were at the Conseco Fieldhouse. Still called Conseco Fieldhouse?
Yes, indeed. Yeah. Well, they changed the name a couple of times.
Okay, yeah.
Depending on who's writing the check.
Exactly. So we're in Indianapolis. And so Larry was there and Michael was there. And my producer gets in my ear and he says, okay, we need you to go up to the suite, interview Larry Bird and Michael Jordan. I said, what? I said, I'm sorry, what was that? Like, I'm working the Big Ten tournament. I didn't just expect to be like given the biggest interview I would ever have in my life, let alone the biggest interview I had when I was 25 years old. I said, yeah, I'm not going to do that. He goes, what'd you say? I said, I can't do it. I was like, I will live the rest of my life not doing this interview as opposed to doing the interview and messing it up so bad that I'm embarrassed in front of my childhood hero, Michael Jordan, and a close second, Larry Bird. So I didn't do it. And I'm still okay with the decision because in my mind, I didn't mess it up. So that's all that mattered.
Well, before I let you get out of here, again, thank you very much for joining me. I'm going to also write a column about our podcast and send you a framed version of it as a small token.
Look at you. With all the time you have,
appreciation.
who has time for this?
Well, because I like to show my guest appreciation, and I really appreciate you being open and honest, and you know how much I love you, and we go back a long way, and it meant a lot for me to have you on the show. And that's why these rapid fire questions, I hope you're ready. Put your seatbelt on, because it's time for us to get gone.
I love rapid fire.
60 seconds.
Let's
ready
do it.
for this, Charissa Thompson? Are you ready?
I'm ready.
This. Name a celebrity you like to see be commissioner of a major sports league.
Larry David.
That's a good one. I tried to copy him in Jalen versus everybody. I love his show. Last
He's got
concert.
So many theories on how to run sports. It's unbelievable.
He did. Last concert you went to.
Dan and Shay Country.
I ain't mad at it. And you know I know a grand total of 0 of their songs. And that makes me happy.
Hey, well, you know what? You know everything about everything else. It's okay. You can leave the country to other people. You know what? Stay in your lane, Jalen.
No question. I'm in my lane. Yeah. If you retire from sports, you be in what industry?
Ooh, I would be a kindergarten teacher.
That is awesome. Yeah. I like that for you. You're intelligent and you're thoughtful. That's exactly what you need to educate young people. I like that. Your podcast is called Calm Down. After a long day of work, what's the first thing you do to calm down?
I grab a glass of wine or a Coors Original, depending on my mood.
Yes, indeed. I like that. Red for me. Last but not least, you're from Seattle, as I mentioned. Shout out.
Woo-hoo.
Seattle, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Who would you give the key to the city to? Gary Payton and Sean Kemp, or Russell Wilson and Richard Sherman?
I mean, I before you even gave me the option, I was already saying Gary Payton.
Right.
There is no day that Gary Payton should not be the mayor of that city. He have the key to the city, that he's got that city's heart. I mean, Seattle is Gary Payton.
Yes.
Come on, man.
And if you would appreciate just a small token of Seattle love, I knew I had you on, so it was green and white for you. Y'all deserve a team in Seattle. And I had Adam Silver on. And he said, if there's going to be a city that gets a team, he said Seattle's next.
It has to be. We got the hockey team. We're doing all the things right. They said hockey has to come, then the arena, and then we'll get to Seattle. Come on. And we should have never lost that team to begin with.
Y'all will have one soon.
Oh, my God.
You guys will have one soon.
Where's Detlef Shrimp?
The detonator. That's what I used to call him on NBA Live. 6'10", stretch 4, making 100 threes a game. Thanks for the versatility, Charissa Thompson. I appreciate you.
I love you.
Love you too. Health and blessings.
You too, Jay. Thank you so much. Only you could make me cry.
Family. Make sure you got my number. We're going to stay locked in.
Yeah, Jalen, I seriously thank you for having me. I appreciate you so much. You know that. And big hug and kiss. I'm sorry for the passing of your mother, but sending you lots and lots of love.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
Bye, sweetie.
Bye.